Okay, so this video is gonna be a little bit different from the normal video because I have a whiteboard now. I bought this whiteboard. I'm very proud of it. I built it, kind of. I did awful. I just got home from work / the gym, and I hate everything. I know none of these are spelled right. I know. I don't. It doesn't matter. Today, I want to talk about what makes a good action manga. And down here, so I basically just made a pyramid. Down here are the three systems that I think are the most universally agreeable things that make a good action manga. Here are a bit in the middle of my personal taste, plus what I think is also somewhat universal. And then right here is like what I personally need in an action manga to like be good. At least in my opinion. So let's start off with the first one here. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I already have these all written down and I want to run them before, but let's start with the first one here, great fights. Now, that one seems pretty obvious, and yes, your action manga, the most important part of the action manga is the action, so you need great fights. But up here, I put 3 ways to make a great fight, at least in my opinion. There's 3 different ways you can make a great fight, and usually authors like to only use one of these, but you can use all 3, you can use only one. Even using one makes an incredible fight, so yeah, I think really all of these work well. Number 1, I have stakes. Not just high stakes in general, but perfect stakes where both characters have a lot to lose. So no character can really lose or win. So it makes it impossible to tell who's going to win, who's going to lose. Like if it's the main character versus a side character and it's like they're battling for their life, like you're not going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I think a manga that does this really well is One Piece, because One Piece is a manga that doesn't really kill off characters. So stakes are equally high for both characters, as well as they're pitting their ideologies together, which we'll talk about later, but they're pitting their ideologies together, so they have a lot at stake without actually dying. Next, I have personal buildup. This is just buildup from the manga, buildup for the characters, that kind of stuff, like the ending fight in a long-running manga. Something like a Demon Slayer has a lot of personal buildup because Tanjiro has been trying to kill and fight Muzan for a while, and the final fight is that. So this personal buildup that the characters have, as well as the relationship between them and the villain, as well as your relationship as the reader to the manga, is very, very important, and personal buildup works really, really well. And number 3, I have a bit of a more abstract one, but it's no winner. And basically what that means is just when you're reading the fight, you don't want anybody to win, you just want the fight to stop. I think a good example of this is Luffy versus Usopp. You don't really want either of them to win, but you don't want either of them to lose, and it's kind of hard to pick between the two, and that's what makes it such a good and emotional fight, because all you want them to do is just stop and apologize and hug it out and all be friends. But this is something more than just the fight, and no matter who wins, the war has already been lost between the both of them. So it doesn't really matter which way is up at that point. So that's my opinion on how to make great fights, is pick one of those 3 and roll with it. Obviously, like, personal buildup could also go with stakes. No winner could go with stakes. And there's a oh my goodness. There's a bunch more that you could do as well. Like, those are just the 3 ones that I could think of right now. And I really just think these are like in my opinion, my 3 favorites, even though this is supposed to be the most universal one. Here I have creative power system. Now this doesn't, maybe this could have gone up here, but this doesn't really mean not a good power system, like a complex power system. Like, in my personal opinion, this will be in a hot takes video, by the way, JJK's power system is like complete ass because it spends so much time in its complexity rather than its creativity. Again, I hate to glaze this manga, but it's one of my favorites. I think One Piece has a great way of making a creative power system because it's extremely easy to understand while also giving characters different and incredibly unique powers, and then it's their own creativity that makes them even stronger. Like, Luffy at the start of the manga is nowhere near as strong as he is around the end of the manga, and it's because of his own creativity, I mean, as well as the authors, but his own creativity that he was able to bring out the best of that power he was given. So that's why I think creative power system works. It also just helps your characters seem smarter than they actually are. It makes fights just way more dynamic, way more cool. If your power system is just punches and kicks, well, yes, that can work, and people can have different styles. It won't really translate well, especially because every fight will just kind of feel the same, unless you're putting some extreme choreography, which we'll talk about later. Also, what helps a great power system is just the emotion behind it. You can, like, let's say you give a character fire powers, he could, be a very hot and angry character. This is like obvious stuff, like you equate their power with the person, but it's all twists and turns. You can combine them together. It's stuff that works really, really well, and I think it makes a great action manga when every single fight feels different, feels unique, fun even, and is super creative. So yeah, creative power system was mine. And then the final one is rootable characters. At least on this level, is rootable characters. These characters just need to be rootable. They don't need to be good characters. They don't need to be bad characters. They don't even need to be neutral characters. They can be whatever character you want to be. There's a lot of villains that are very rootable as well because of just how charismatic and fun they are. I think a great example of this is Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days has some very rootable characters because they're fun, friendly, they're kind people, and overall just good human beings. Demon Slayer also does this a lot well, and I think it is a negative at a lot of points because they can't really get out of the rootable character surface level basis that they're in. But during fights, it's very easy to root for a Tanjiro. It's very easy to root for an Inosuke, especially when they're fighting below the earth god-awful demons. So rootable characters helps a lot. You could also take this with a show like Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos had a very big emphasis on how every single side, there's no like good, bad side. You don't really know who's a good, who's bad, what plan is real, what plan is fake, what is real, what is fake. Like, you don't really know that intentionally. But the Creature Commandos themselves are still rootable because you know their past and you know how they work and they're charismatic and you know they're funny and you know that they're these broken people inside that could be fixed and just need to get this job done, and they're great and they have great chemistry and they're just very great, fun characters. Even if they're not good people, like they still kill people all the time, but they are rootable. And there's a clear, I want this guy to win, I don't want this guy to win. Now, this is different from the no winner I talked about earlier. No winner and rootable can happen at the same time. Like, again, the choice of Usopp and Luffy, these are two rootable characters. Like, you like both of these people, but when you're rooting for two people, you don't really want anything to win. It's like if you supported two sports teams in like different leagues, and then one day they went up against each other. It's like, how do you even root for them at that point? Because you love them both equally. So those are my three that I think most people can agree on. Again, if you have any more in the comment section, I'd gladly take them. I'd love to make this a series. I'm doing this with action manga, but I think I could do this with horror and romance and slice of life and all that. And I think it would be really, really fun. Next, right here, this one I think is both ways. Like, I would love it, but also I think universally, but this is more for me. It's different in ideologies. I love a fight with like a difference of ideologies where both characters think that they're right, but they collide their ideologies together to decide which person is more correct, I guess, or which person's ideology is true, and they end up growing and realizing faults in both of their languages and both of their ideals, and they overall grow as better people. I love fights like these. Haikyuu does a lot. It's not an action manga, it's a sports manga. Which again is not a genre. We'll talk about that later. But Haikyuu does this a lot too, where every single team has an ideology, just like our team Karasuno, and they're equally as important and as well respected as our team. And they're both like, they both fight head to head, and the characters within those teams, they support these ideologies a lot, and their backstories support it, and they as a person support it, and everything just crowds around them. And then the climax of that fight is always just this like fucking muddy beatdown between the two teams on which person or which team is correct and who can move on to the final round. And it is so good. I love a difference in ideologies. It is one of my favorite like action tropes. Another thing I wanted to put here was tournament arcs. I can talk about tournament arcs too. I just love tournament arcs, but it would probably be up here because I don't think a lot of people like them. Well, they do. It would be like right here. Right here, I have great choreography. This one, I honestly will say that Blue Lock doesn't really do this very well. It'll do it sometimes, but Blue Lock spends a lot of time creating tactics for their fights. Another manga that does this is like Kingdom. Kingdom creates a lot of tactics for their fights and doesn't really want to put a full choreographed one-on-one brawl. At least of what I've heard. I haven't read Kingdom. But a good one-on-one brawl, no words, just action and fights. I know that can take a lot off the manga author, but if I'm reviewing manga, I'm reviewing manga. I think the best one that does this is like a Tokyo Avengers or a Sakamoto Days. They both respectively do one-on-one brawls or just a battle royale so well, where characters are just beating the shit out of each other, and it's so fun and it's so chaotic, and they just collide so goddamn well. And the great choreography supports this so well and so much, especially when it's adapted to an anime and it's done even better. JJK does this also as well, even though I think their power system is really, really bad and it's kind of it's kind of confusing a lot of times. Their choreography is top notch, and I think it's really, really good. Now, finally, going up to the level that is the most important to me, the one that I think is the most important. It is, well, at least in my opinion, this is the one that's only to me. It's desperation. In a fight, if two characters are fighting in an action manga, I need them to be desperate. I need them to just be a man with nothing to lose. That's what I need. I want a character that is just so angry they can't even process their emotions correctly, so their face is just blank with adrenaline. I need that. Blue Lock does this so well. Oh my god, Blue Lock does this so well. I need to feel the fight in the characters' hearts. The way this is a anything goes kind of fight. I need brawls. I need bloody teeth. I need to feel that these characters are holding absolutely nothing back, and they're putting every single thought and ideal and emotion they've ever felt onto the table for everyone to see, and all they want to do is just beat up the guy in front of them. I fucking love that shit. And desperation is exactly what we need. This is used a lot in personal build-up, especially when the final fight of a manga happens. There is a lot of desperation, and I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. I can talk about some more manga that relate to these, like Creative Power System. I said One Piece, but also a Dandadan works here too, because the power system is literally just aliens, ghosts, but like after that, it's just this guy gets this kind of powers, but it's more of just action oriented. Another, like, for rootable characters, Tokyo Avengers does this very well. Great choreography. I'd say Soul Eater does this pretty well as well. Does this pretty well as well. Okay. Also, there we go. Difference in ideologies. I'm looking at the manga collection in the back right now, and a lot of manga like Vinland Saga and Vagabond do this. Windbreaker kind of does this, but difference in ideologies does not mean a good guy versus bad guy. I want like two kind of good guys. I like Naruto does it a lot too, as well as kind of Bleach. But difference in ideologies does not mean like a Demon Slayer, where it's Tanjiro is like the nicest human being on the planet, and the demon he's facing has killed 5,000 people. Okay, yes, it's technically a difference of ideologies, but it's so, like, boring. Like, because obviously Tanjiro is right. Nobody in their right mind is going to be like, oh yeah, the guy that killed 6,000 people, he's so correct. Okay, you can give us a sad backstory. That's not going to change my ideology of Tanjiro's good guy, demon's bad guy. So, and then desperation. Almost every action manga does. Attack on Titan does this well. Like, yeah, you could see it a lot in there as well. The Fable does great choreography well. Again, you don't need all of these to create this. If you had all these, it would be the perfect action manga. Honestly, One Piece has all of these. I'm gonna be honest, but like, you don't need, honestly, a manga with none of these and just incredible, like, masterful different set of ideologies, or masterful rootable characters, masterful great fights, any of these three, masterful desperation, is worth your time, in my opinion. Genuinely is worth your time. Yeah, that is going to be the end of the video. Hopefully this turned out well. I don't know. I flipped my phone, so I can't see the camera. I flipped my phone around because it would have turned backwards on the screen. So I don't know how well this looked. If it didn't look very good, I'll film it again. But yeah, I mean, if you're seeing this, that means I didn't film it again. Okay. If you made it to the end of the video, put a whiteboard emoji. They must have one. Whiteboard emoji, because I bought a whiteboard from Amazon. It's like $20. All right. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.